Texas Rangers left fielder, burgeoning superstar, and World Series champion, Evan Carter. Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, we're doing great, and I know you've been rocking with this for a couple of months now, but how awesome is it to always know that you can be introduced as a World Series champion until the end of time?
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to get old.
Well, how has the offseason gone? Obviously, I'm sure there's a lot of people that want your time. I know this Saturday you're signing autographs at the Dallas Card Show. How has this offseason been different than your other off seasons?
Yeah, I think that aside from being, for good reason, a lot shorter, this is just kind of the first one that I've had to kind of condense everything down, but, it's been a ton of fun. Got to meet a bunch of new people and have a whole lot of new experiences that I wouldn't trade for anything. So it's been a ton of fun.
Have you been given like any responsibilities to work on some things in this off season? Is that something that Boch talked about as y'all were leaving? Hey, this is what we need from you now.
I think it's definitely just something that you kind of take what you've already got and just try and improve on it. You don't want to change as a player. You just want to kind of master what you've already got going for you,
So, Evan, I know if you go to your baseball reference page, you have the nickname Full Count Carter, but during the playoffs, they called you 3-2. Also, when you got to second base, a lot of times you'd put the prayer hands up for the little savior. What nickname do you like, or what nickname do you think is going to stick?
I think that the whole little savior thing was kind of probably a one and done for the playoffs.
Okay.
Or for just kind of getting called up right there. The Full Count Carter thing is pretty cool. I like that a lot. Everybody had said I've been called that since the minor leagues for forever, and I'm like, I don't remember that, but it's a cool one. Like, I like it. So whoever came up with that one did a good job.
Are you going to stick with number 32? I know on some of your minor league cards you're not 32, so I was wondering if that number was just given to you, or you picked that number, or sticking with that number.
Yeah, so I was always number 11 coming up. That's what I've, in high school, everything else, that's just what I've always been. That's what I've liked. They just gave me 32. Obviously, Austin Hedges was number 11, so I couldn't take that from him coming up. So I got 32. I didn't get to choose that, but, things went really, really good with 32, so I think I'm going to stick with it. I don't want to stray off course from there.
I like it.
Well, plus if he switched jersey numbers, they might start asking what the number is on your ass. So you don't want that either, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
The 3-2, as we were talking about with the full count and everything, you see a lot of players that have been in the league for a long time that don't have as much patience as you do at the plate. And I'm just kind of curious where that comes from. Was that something you learned at a young age? Is there a certain set of rules where you were like, this is how I get the count to be in my favor all the time?
Yeah, I've just kind of, I guess ever since I've really in high school and, travel ball, whatever, coming up through the minors, it's just been one of those things that's like, hey, if I don't feel like I can really do damage to this pitch, I'm not going to swing at it. And, a lot of times if they nibble at the edge is good for them, but pitching's hard too. So if somebody makes 3 really good pitches in a row, you tip your cap. But the chances that they do that, it's not always going to happen. So I just wait for something that I feel like I can do damage to, and just kind of be strategically picky, I guess, with what I'm looking for.
I like it.
In addition to tipping your cap for a good pitch, if it's a pitch that's a strike that maybe was not as good of a pitch, I think we all noticed occasionally you will turn back at the ump. Do you say anything, or is just the turn good enough to voice your displeasure?
I think that in the minor leagues, I was around a lot of those umpires a lot because we always had the same, couple crews coming through. And so you build a relationship with them. And, if I didn't agree with them, I'd tell them. I'd be like, hey, man, I've got that a little bit outside right there or something. And, it's a respectful conversation that you want to have with somebody, but I'm not going to tell them they're wrong. I'm just going to tell them that I disagree with them, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I know as you go along further with the Texas Rangers, you'll develop more and more relationships. But Corey Seager, best hitter in baseball last year, arguably, he has a very different approach. Do you ever talk about his approach and ask him questions about his approach at the plate?
I definitely do try and pick his brain as far as kind of, especially against lefties. I try and talk to him a lot about that. somebody that I really like to talk to as far as approach and game planning and stuff was Nate Lowe, because I feel like, I really jived with him as far as like our mindsets hitting. Corey's kind of a one-of-one type of hitter. I don't want to necessarily say that what he does wouldn't work for other people, but it wouldn't for me. And obviously, gosh, he's one of the best, if not the best hitters in baseball. So I'm not sitting here telling him what to do, but I definitely, I like talking shop with Nate Lowe a lot.
You were talking about especially going up against left-handed pitching. I'm curious if you can walk us through any of your thought process or anything like that you will adjust with left-handed pitching going forward.
I don't think there's really going to be any adjustments going forward. I had like 10 at-bats against lefties in the big leagues last year. So there's not really a sample size for me to say, hey, I need to change something, because I didn't get a chance to really do anything against them. And in the minor leagues and stuff, I didn't change anything really against them in the minor leagues. Just maybe might be a little bit more aggressive than I would be against righties, not be as picky. But other than that, there's nothing really to change. Like, I feel comfortable against them, feel ready to go. Just going to be one of those things that the more I see them, the better it'll be.
Evan Carter joining us here on the K&C Masterpiece on 105.3 The Fan. I think there've probably been a lot of rookies that have come into the league and veterans probably just ignored them or kind of left them out on their own. But the story about you guys walking out there at Houston's outfield and kind of walking the wall and the veterans going over some things with you, how cool is that a team, the veterans on that team aren't looking at you going, man, he just took my spot. They're going, hey, how do we help you win?
Yeah, I definitely think that that's what kind of makes us stand apart from, other teams in that moment was, hey, you didn't have any bitterness on the team. Everybody wanted to win, and whatever it took in that moment, I'm super thankful for that, to have those type of people around me, because that only is going to help me in my young career. I'm very blessed to, like I said, have people like, Robbie and Travis around me that were doing stuff like that for me.
I think we all realize how important winning that World Series was for you, the guys, Boch and everything. But over the last couple of months, when you see people, when you talk to people, or when you see them at the Dallas Card Show this weekend, have you gotten a sense for how important that championship was for this Metroplex?
Yeah, gosh, it's just one of those things that people, however many, back in 10, 12 years ago, it's like you get right there that close, you get a taste of it, and you can't, you just kind of leave with a bitter taste in your mouth. And to be able to, pull through, and, we got a young group of guys coming up right now that's, hopefully, going to be a really good young core of guys for the years to come. So it's kind of exciting to, set the standard here. And then hopefully, it's going to be like one of those things, hey, we're here to stay, for the foreseeable future. And that's the way I want to think about it.
Was it weird after the World Series was over and the parade that you got to sleep in a bed that you had slept in before?
Yeah, it was. Gosh, I hadn't been home I guess since February in spring training. So it was definitely was nice to get home and see everybody and see some familiar faces for sure.
Was it, how many days do you remember that in AAA, were you in a hotel the whole time that you were in AAA once you got called up from Frisco? And then we assume you're in a hotel every day here in Arlington / on the road.
Yeah. So whatever day I got moved from, I was in a hotel the week of AA that I got moved up to. So a week before I got called up to AAA and till the end of the season in November, I was in a hotel.
So that was August something, right?
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, yeah, probably a week before, a week before my birthday, which is August 29th. So, yeah, August 20-something till November 1st, I guess.
When you turned all of 21 in the season in which you won the World Series.
Yeah.
Hey, when it comes to, I think as Kevin was expressing there, he, myself, Mike, we are all lifelong Rangers fans since we were kids, and this is our first opportunity to see that. And a big factor for us, obviously, too, was Bruce Bochy's leadership throughout this. And I keep trying. I really do like hearing the different answers from the players because they all have kind of a different, unique way of their relationship with him. What is your perspective on Bochy and his leadership style?
Yeah, I didn't necessarily get to see, I wasn't there the whole season, so I didn't get to experience a full season of him. But whenever I got there, as far as his style towards me, was just, hey man, listen, like, there's no pressure. You just go out there, you do you. And just the confidence that he instilled in me, I guess. Hey, like, we're going to put you in the 5-hole. We're going to put you in the 4-hole. We're going to put you in the 3-hole. Like, holy smokes, like, this is the World Series. And my manager has that much confidence in me, and that just makes me have confidence in me. So that was kind of all him, I guess, just that finding a way for him to put confidence in all of his players, I feel like.
I love the phrase "holy smokes" because you made several "holy smokes" catches throughout the playoffs, and I was just curious because I had joked on air about it, and I got a lot of negative feedback for making this joke. Did you ever go back and look at any of those catches and say the wall was still a few feet back? I might not have had to jump for that.
I definitely think so, but it's just one of those things that it's like, I mean, I would rather jump and get it and then not jump and not be able to get it.
Sure.
I mean, that was my first time in literally every single park that I was playing in, so you definitely don't have a feel for anything yet.
Can you walk us through the logistics and the mechanics and differences of being in left field as opposed to center field? And then also you just touched on, this is my first time in these parks. Like, how different do things play park to park?
Yeah, so in AA this year, I probably played 3 games in left field maybe. So, I mean, I played 98% of my games in the minor leagues in center field. So, obviously, left field was, I mean, it's still the outfield, but it definitely was not somewhere that I'm like, oh, yeah, this is, where I play. Like, and it's fine, I mean, wherever gets me on the field is where I'm going to go, and I'm not going to complain about that a bit. But it's definitely, took some getting used to, just like while I was picking the brains of a lot of the other players. And then on top of that, you're going to parks that you've never played at before. They've got weird dimensions. Like in Houston, you're like, okay, like there's this huge concrete and metal wall that if I get too close to running into, I'm going to break a shoulder, knock it out of place, or do something stupid. So I just need to make sure that, or if it bounces off the wall and I can't get to it, it's a triple. Like, it's just, there's a lot of stuff going on in your head that it's like, all right, on top of playing a position that I'm not necessarily used to, I'm also in some really weird parks. So you just try and play it a little bit more safe, I guess.
So, Evan, you'll be Saturday in Allen at the Dallas Card Show with Marcus Semien, Josh Young, and Cody Bradford,
So cool.
4 world champions signing autographs. I know Josh Young is a card collector and has had fun with one of his cards, putting like fake glasses on him and stuff. Are you into baseball cards, and have you ever done something fun when signing one of your Topps cards?
Yeah, so I've never done the little doodling like he did. I thought that was hilarious, though. But yeah, I really enjoy collecting cards. I got into it. A bunch of my buddies in the minor leagues were really into it, and I'd never kind of experienced that before. So I'm like, oh shoot, like this is fun. I'm going to start doing it. And then turned out my dad had a ton of cards from back in the 80s and 90s. I'm like, well, crap, Dad, like we can start doing this together too. So now it's just kind of, I've really gotten into it, and it's a ton of fun.
Did you get one of the Topps Now World Series champion sets? And if not, do you need us to help you out with that set?
My mom bought like 3 sets. Yeah, we've got them.
Excellent.
That's really nice.
We've had, I know we've talked mostly baseball and cards here, but there's been a whole bunch of people who are curious about this. And like, I love the shirt. I know a lot of people did. I was kind of curious about your Jesus One shirt and how that's kind of played a factor in your life and your athletic career.
Yeah, so they gave us those in spring training this year. So I mean, they were just, a ton of people in the minor leagues had them, and in the big leagues too. And I just thought it was the coolest thing that whenever, and it was a shirt that I wore most days, just like normal. So it was no other thought to me of just like, hey, this is the shirt that I wear every day. And then it turned out, kind of went viral on social media, I guess, a little bit. And everybody started, hey, where can I get the shirt? Like, that's super cool. And being able to kind of use the playoff platform, getting called up, that platform, it was great timing to be able to kind of promote that message. And that's what it's all about, man. I mean, life's bigger than baseball, just being able to do something like that. It was really cool, and the timing was perfect. So yeah, I mean, that was definitely something that meant a lot to my wife and I, for sure.
Evan, there's a lot of people that are excited about Wyatt Langford right now as well. And I don't know if your paths have crossed at all yet. I don't know exactly what your relationship there would be, but can you kind of give us some people that you spent some time with in the minors that you're like, that dude's going to be a stud. Y'all keep an eye on that guy.
Yeah. So I've never met him before. Never talked to him or met him before. I mean, obviously we will in spring training this year. Gosh, man, I tell you what, my two best friends, Tom Sajasi and Takoa Roby, I thought were absolute studs. Obviously they're not with us anymore. But it worked out really well getting Monty and Strat. So, but yeah, those are probably two players that I'm like, those guys are going to be really, really, really good.
And if you had your say, you would really like Jordan Montgomery to come back to this team, right?
Yeah, who wouldn't? Crap. He was a huge role in us being able to win, not just in the World Series, but all throughout the playoffs.
Agreed. We've tried to get Chris Young on the phone like every day just to give him a heads up about that. Man, thank you so much. Mike and I will both be out at the Dallas Card Show in Allen this weekend. I know tons of folks are looking forward to seeing you. And congratulations once again on, I guess, just being awesome.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you.